stands out. Let's have a look at a couple of the options. So if you want the high upside guys, the actually really talented basketball players who could make a major difference if things go well, Christian Wood is clearly numero uno on the free agent market right now. If the Warriors want someone who is a very talented offensive player and who fits a need as a center, there's no doubt about that. And I think a lot of Warrior fans would be excited if we woke up tomorrow and Christian Wood was signed to the Golden State Warriors on a minimum contract. That would be a steal on a minimum deal. I'm surprised he's still around on the free agent market. I'm surprised that he hasn't been offered anything over a minimum. So theoretically right now, Christian Wood is gettable for the Warriors on a minimum deal if he's willing to take that, obviously, which at this point might be all he's able to get. However, I remember a few years ago when Christian Wood left the Pistons for the Rockets on that 3-year, $27 million deal, and I thought it was one of the biggest steals of that free agency. I thought it was a magnificent move from the Houston Rockets. I really like Christian Wood's game early on. However, you get to a point where everything you do individually as a scorer gets put into context of how much are you actually impacting your team here? How much are you actually increasing the winning chances of your team in particular games and across the course of the season? And what do you do outside of putting the ball in the basket? And Andre Drummond had a really good quote the other day, basically talking about that, if you're a center and you're a bench piece, it's not necessarily about your points and your rebounds. It's about your cultural impact with the team. And him going from a $100 million guy to a minimum contract and really having to try and buy into, hey, I'm not that player anymore. I need to be a really good cultural fit. I need to be a good teammate. All the off-the-court things. And then obviously once you get on the court, putting in as much as you can, not only on the offensive end, but the defensive end as well. And that's obviously where Christian Wood has really struggled. I do think that Christian Wood's defensive limitations would be mitigated somewhat by the fact that he could play next to Draymond Green and Andrew Wiggins, like a front court of Wiggins, Green, Christian Wood. I like the idea of that to an element, and I do think that would limit the defensive weaknesses that we see from Christian Wood. However, just the cultural fit of, bringing in a guy who is probably would like to play 25, 30 minutes a game and who is realistically, when you've got Looney and when you've got Saric and Green as more small ball options, Christian Wood's playing anywhere between 10 and 20 minutes, maybe. And we've seen that he's had an issue with his playing time, and there has been some off-court issues there in terms of the lack of opportunity that he's got, with the Mavericks most recently, where he put up good numbers, don't get me wrong. He's a talented offensive player. There is no doubt about that. But I just think this Warrior system, this Warrior culture that they're trying to recapture after a poor 2022-23 season, I don't think that Christian Wood necessarily fits into that. I wouldn't be totally against it if they went and signed him. However, I don't think I'd be as excited as other Warrior fans who simply see, 16 points a game last season, a very talented offensive player. There's no doubt about that. But the other factors at play here, I don't think fit in to what the Warriors are trying to build.